another video where I talk about stuff. Coming to you live 6x6 out of northern Israel. And wanted to mention to you guys some things about the Bitcoin and crypto alt markets, which you may or may not be aware of if you're a follower of my discussions about crypto and trading and whatnot. You might even know where I'm going with this. Is the bottom in? We've come to a point where the valley has been measured, and the question is the bottom in? And the answer is, look at the VEPs. Don't try to trade low time frames based on high time frame information. We don't look to see if there's a high time frame bottom in to trade on low time frames. Now, from a higher time frame perspective, does it really matter if there's a bottom that's in or not? The answer is not really. If you're DCAing, it does not matter. Right? If you're dollar cost averaging, it does not matter. If you're buying on a one-time lump purchase, it may matter by some percentage, and that can make a difference, but you should only be doing that anyway if you have a significant portfolio, right? Not like if you're DCAing. And when I say significant, I mean like at least many tens of millions of dollars, right? Like if you have less than, like, I don't know, probably $70 million or something in today's world, you probably should be DCAing, right? Just to be perfectly honest about it. I mean, talk to your financial advisor. They'll tell you what's best. But if you have like less than 70 million, you probably don't want to be doing a one-time lump purchase, right? Because you probably have to spread your finances around and need to manage them pretty carefully. And 70 million is a lot, yeah, but it's not like 70 million was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, right? Not even close, right? You're lucky if it's half of what it was 10 years ago. Let's be perfectly honest. And even then, 7 million would give you'd be very, very, very comfortable, probably for the rest of your life, unless you really screw things up. But it's not, significant wealth, right? It's rich, but it's not significant wealth. So if you have significant wealth, at least 70 or more, maybe even 100 or more million, then you should be, talking to your financial advisor probably about. In any case, talk to your financial advisor about it. But they'll normally tell you, look, if you've got 100 million or more, doing a lump sum can make a difference. In which case, yes, does it matter if there's a bottom in or a top in to an investor? Yeah, it does make a difference, because then you're going to be maximizing the amount that you buy or sell in any given decision. Now, in terms of low time frames, you'll notice yesterday, Bitcoin and a bunch of alts, had a little bit of a dip before, bouncing back up a little bit, but they didn't blast off, which is actually good if you're looking for the asset to move up across the coming days, because that way it doesn't sort of blast off too quickly and then come right back down. And because if the returns go way too high very quick, they're going to mean revert very quickly too, usually. That's typically what happens. Doesn't have to, but that's very, very normal. And if you, if they gradually rise without constantly banging into these outer bands of the third RMLR bands, causing mean reversions, well, then you're going to have a smoother ride, if you will, continuing in one direction in all probability. So today, for example, on the new daily candle, Bitcoin and other coins like even meme coins like Bonk completed mean reversions on the daily time frames to the 30-12 RMLR, which had it completed it yesterday would have been a significant drop, but it didn't. It kind of walked it over to it. Now you could argue technically the Bonk one didn't really happen yet. It started the day right around it, but didn't quite touch the line exactly if you zoom in really, really close. Yeah, you could argue that. It's, it got within a couple points. So it's, it is contestable, especially because the one on Bitcoin did start the day off and complete that. But technically speaking, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bonk complete it properly and then possibly rise. And why do I say that? Because, well, there are now RMLR bands above the asset, both on, for example, Bonk as well as on Bitcoin and on other assets like Solana, where there are mean reversions happening towards the 30-12 RMLR on things like the 12 hour, the 10 hour, the 8 hour, in some cases the 6 hour. There's a bunch of mean reversions happening across a bunch of really popular assets in crypto, right? Bitcoin and Solana being just two of them. And there's many more. And those mean reversions are happening towards RMLRs that are currently well above where the assets are. So in the case of like Bitcoin, I think the 10 hour and the 8 hour have mean reversions towards the 30-12 RMLR, if I remember correctly. And they're both around 85.5K is where those mean reversions would complete. It doesn't mean they have to happen today, right? Or even on the current candle. But those RMLRs are generally going steadily across and even climbing for now. Of course, it's a 30-12 RMLR, so there's going to be a little bit of a dip in some, candles from now before it rises up, as is the nature of it. And so you will see that. Mean reversion, because they are well in progress already. Now, does that mean that they have to complete it to the upside? That doesn't mean they have to complete it to the upside, but the probabilities are pretty good at this point that they'll complete it to the upside. Does that mean that they can't dip at all between now and then? No, that doesn't mean that they can't dip at all between now and then. It just means that the mean reversions are likely to happen, towards the upside, right? Or at the very least, they'll go sideways for 30 candles and then complete it, which is, probably unlikely. But it could happen, right? If the asset just goes sideways, completely sideways for 30 candles. The thing is, it doesn't really happen in crypto, especially not when you have the beginning of a new quarter, right? Now that yesterday's candles are over, you got the end of the month yesterday, and you had the end of Q1. Right? The first quarter is over. It's in the books. It's unbelievable. We're now in Q2. And now you hear all the Q2 Jimmies out there going out there saying, hey, Q2 is going to be the greatest and all that. And they always tell you these random statistics that are completely meaningless and have no correlation to anything useful. Like they say, the average Q2 in Bitcoin has gone up 22% or whatever. Whatever. Last year's Q2 sure didn't. I can show you most years. In fact, most years it doesn't go up 22%. Right? That's an average, and it's a silly thing because it has nothing to do with anything. Right? We don't calculate price; we calculate returns. And that's what we measure investments in. We don't give a hoot about what the price is. We care what the returns are. So saying that the price went up 22% on average is not. It's not a measurable anything. It's not useful. Also, because that's just lagging information. That's not telling you the probability of anything, right? If you want to see the probability of what the asset's going to do this month, you look at the probability forecasts of the returns, right? The probability of where the volatility is going to drive the returns, and where the returns are going then to drive the price. And that's what you do. And if you don't have that as your measuring device, if you're not using returns to calculate where the assets are likely to go, then you're really wasting your time. Because we don't calculate the asset based on the movement of the price, right? So anyway, like I said, so is the bottom in for crypto? Is the bottom in for also for Bitcoin? Are we going to the moon now? Now we have Q2 in. Again, for low time frame traders, we look at the assets every day, do the workflow every day, and figure out on a daily basis where things are going. We don't just try to figure out from here until 90 days from now where something is going. Because yes, I can give you a good, solid forecast, and generally it will be very accurate. But there's a lot of action between now and the end of Q2, which just started today. And things can go one way or the other. They can go up, down, or sideways. That's all they ever do. And that changes moment to moment, and day to day, and week to week, and month to month, and quarter to quarter, and year to year. So there you have it. If you want to learn how to trade probabilities and statistics, check out the Alpha Trading Discord at alphatradinghq.com/Discord. Okay. See you guys later. Peace.